A bottle of water or a packet of chips may be a small deal for you and me, but for the planet, it has become a deadly problem. So much so that a study has gone on to say that plastic pollution has crossed planetary boundaries, the safe space for humanity. Currently, the world produces 430 million tons of plastic every year. Of this, 280 million becomes waste. The irony is, this small bottle made of PET plastic also brings an income for the waste pickers, the crucial actors who do the ground job of keeping our cities clean. Hi, I'm Ravleen Kaur. I'm here in Geneva, Switzerland, where 3,700 delegates from 184 countries have come together to deal with the menace of plastic pollution. Behind me, this installation shows humanity drowning in plastic by the second, while inside, talks inch forward at the UN headquarters. But outside those walls, in back alleys, in landfill areas, at dawn in our streets, there's a question no one wants to ask. What happened to the people whose livelihood depends on plastic? For waste pickers, plastic is a necessary evil. It pays rent, buys groceries, and keeps their children in school. But constant exposure also leads to cancer and lung diseases. Globally, 40 million people work in the informal waste sector. They collect, sort, and recycle our trash, often in dangerous conditions, without recognition and without job security. They are the reasons nearly 60% of the world's plastic recycling happens at all.
National Alliance of Waste Pickers represents more than 35 waste pickers movements from 35 countries and more than 50 organizations covering 460,000 waste pickers around the world. And waste pickers are people who work informally, whose source of employment is informal, who pick up recyclables, reusable materials from the street, sometimes from the household, sometimes from the dump site, sometimes from a variety of sources, including sometimes secondary transfer points where the municipalities have provided them place for waste picking. There are around 40 million waste pickers around the world. And that number keeps increasing because of conflict, because of climate change related migration, because of climate change related extreme events. We are seeing a lot of change in the numbers. A substantial number of waste pickers are people who have left their place of origin and in search of livelihoods to another place. We term them migrants. They can be internal migrants in the country. They can be international migrants around the world. And not to forget, there can be a lot of climate refugees who are displaced by the weather-related events from their place of origin. So that's the population we are talking about. And not to forget, a majority of them are women and also sexual minorities. So because this is an occupation which is the occupation of the poorest of the poor, and people take this occupation because there's no barrier to entry. And also not to forget, there are certain ethnic and caste dimensions to it. Generally, you see a pattern. Majority of waste pickers around the world in many countries will be from either the oppressed castes or classes or races in some parts of the world. And they will also be from indigenous communities, substantial number of them. Not to forget that they are also, a large part of them are survivors of variety of abuse, and waste becomes a means of supporting their livelihoods in the process. So that's the context we are talking about. And waste pickers, through their work, whatever material is recycled globally, 60% of that material is picked up, collected, aggregated, sorted by waste pickers. And then 58% of waste pickers' income come from plastic waste recovery. So that's the numbers that we are working on. That we are asking for a mandatory provision of just transition for waste pickers, which provides income security to my colleagues, which also provides social protection, which ensure that when we are moving away from problematic plastics, there's no disruption in their livelihoods. They are also engaged in the new materials that are brought in as alternatives, new systems that are brought in as alternatives, such as reuse, refill, and others, shouldn't displace them, but rather should include them. So those are things. In many parts of the world, waste pickers not just do recycling, they also not just recover materials for recycling, but they also recover materials for reuse in most second-hand markets. So those are the thing. And another thing which is part of this wider discussion is that we are trying to hold producers responsible through extended producers responsibility frameworks, which is also a potential instrument under the plastics treaty. What we are seeking is that the EPR, which we call extended producers responsibility, there is a mandatory, there are certain set of provisions which ensure that waste pickers are given service fee and other details. That is not exactly in our position paper right now, but it is preempted in the discussion because we are not going to discuss EPR in detail here. It will come in the later stage. Lastly, there is a provision of financial mechanism in just transition. Without money, there cannot be a just transition. And so therefore, financial mechanism discussion needs to include a reference to just transition. Thank you.
Indumathi and Kulsum Begum are waste pickers from Bangalore and Dhaka. They are representing waste pickers in the talks on behalf of the International Alliance of Waste Pickers. As a child, Indumathi migrated to Bangalore from a village in Tamil Nadu where her father remarried and survival became an issue. Indumathi says we are all one jati of waste pickers. She tells us we are all in it together because we need to feed ourselves. 50% waste pickers in Bangalore have migrated from other states. Indumathi says that the police troubles them as if they are criminals. But they don't get it that the waste pickers are in the streets at 3 a.m. only because they want to collect waste. If they don't do it, the municipal workers will pick it up by 6 o'clock.
ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಬಂದರೆ ಕೂಡ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಪಿಕ್ಕರ್ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಇಲ್ದಿರ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಕೂಡ ನಡೆಯಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಎತ್ಕೊಂಡೋಗಿ ನಾವು ಬರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ನಾವು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸಗ್ರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಆಗಲೇಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ರಿಯೂಸ್ ಅಂತ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ರೀಸೈಕ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಸಗ್ರಿಗೇಟ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಕೂಡ ಕಳ್ಸೋಕ್ಕಾಗೋದು. ಮತ್ತು ತುಂಬ ಜನ ಈ TTL ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬರೀ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟೈಲ್ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಇವಾಗ ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದು ನಿಜಾನೇ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟೈಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಇದೆ, ಪಾಲಿಸ್ಟರ್, ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರಲ್ಲೂ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇದಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ತುಂಬಾ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟೈಲ್ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಬಟ್ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟೈಲ್ದು ಯಾರು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ರೆಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಹಣ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ. ಬಟ್ ಅದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಇವಾಗ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಪಿಕ್ಕರೇ ಕೈ ಹಾಕಿ ಇದುವರೆಗೂ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಫೋಕಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬರೀ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ.
Kulsum Begum had to migrate to Dhaka when river erosion washed away her home.
এখন বাংলাদেশে আমাদের সমস্যা হচ্ছে, আমাদের ডাম্পিং বন্ধ করে দিচ্ছে। তারপরে আমাদেরকে টোকায় ঢুকতে, জ্ঞানফিল যেটুকু আছে সেটুকুতে ঢুকতে দিচ্ছে না। তারপরে আমাদেরকে বলে গাড়ির তলে পড়ে মরার অবস্থা। কিছু কিছু লোক এরকম ডুজারের নিচে পড়ে যাই আমরা। তারপরেও ওনাদের কোনো মায়া দয়া লাগে না। তা আমরা চাই যে আমাদের এই সমস্যাগুলো হয়। আর আমরা যে কাজ করতে যাই আমাদের বিভিন্ন রোগ দেখা দিচ্ছে, যেমন ডায়রিয়া, তারপরে এই জন্ডিস, পরে আবার এই যে লাংসের সমস্যা, কি বলে এটা, আমার যেটা আছে আলসার, এই রোগগুলা বেশি দেখা দেয়। এখন তো বর্তমানে আমি এই টুকাইতে যাই ভাঙ্গা পড়ে রয়েছি, পা ভাঙ্গা আমার এখন বর্তমানে এটা। তা আমি এখানে আসছি, আমার একটা দাবি যে ন্যায়সঙ্গত আইন তৈরি করতেছে, সেই ন্যায়সঙ্গত আইনের মাধ্যমে জানি আমি শুধু আমার বাংলাদেশের ওয়েস্ট পিকার্স না, সারা যারা আমরা সংগঠিত হয়েছি, যেই কোনো দেশে যেখানেই আছি, ওয়েস্ট পিকার্সরা আমরা যেন আমাদের ন্যায়সঙ্গত আইনের মাধ্যমে আমাদেরকে অন্তর্ভুক্ত করে নেয়। আমরা যেন ভবিষ্যতে কাজ টাজ করে খেতে পারি, আমরা যেন অবহেলিত পড়ে যাই না। সারা জিন্দিগি ভর অবহেলিত পড়ে রয়েছি, সারা জীবন আমরা কাটাই দিছি রাস্তায়, পথে, ডাম্পিনের ভিতরে। আর এরকম অবহেলিত হয়ে যেন না থাকি।
The UN discussion started in 2022 when the world saw that plastic is becoming an issue across borders and in our ocean. But both environment and people, even those who are not consuming much plastic, are bearing the brunt of it now. And as a waste picker who has come from Chile, they mentioned, waste pickers are a product of capitalism and consumerism. Otherwise, who wants to live life near a landfill? In Geneva, waste pickers have gathered from all over the world, from Chile, Bangladesh, Brazil and India. They are clear about what they want. Recognize us as workers. Guarantee income security and social protection. Fund the transition and make sure the funding reaches us directly. If you want to reduce plastic, don't leave us behind. Train our people to be part of the new system, reuse, repair and refill so that we continue to earn our livelihood. There is no doubt that all countries need to come together to devise legislations to deal with plastics. But we must know that it can only happen with the active support of the ground workers, the waste pickers who bear the load of our excess consumption. Thank you.
The migration story.